Okay. Good morning. My name is Devin Pandy. I am a Democrat. I'm a Democratic candidate running to represent Georgia's 9th Congressional District. I am here today because our leadership is not. I am here near the Fieldair Farms Corporation poultry plant because our governor has not done enough and our representative has not done anything to relieve the essential workers of this and other essential businesses of the fears and illnesses that accompany the COVID-19 epidemic. Come November 3rd, I, along with the Democratic nominee for Georgia's junior Senate seat, will ensure that Doug Collins is out of a job. I am here to bring awareness to the essential workers here in Hall County, all over District 9, and the essential workers all across Georgia and the United States. We owe them a huge debt of gratitude for their tireless and now very dangerous work to provide the region and the nation with the food products critical to sustaining the American people. Unfortunately, the Trump administration, along with Governor Kemp, is focused more on industry and the economy than what really matters in this time: the people. Unlike them, I do not consider the loss of a business to be as tragic as the loss of human life. I do not believe that your stature, skin color, wealth, or immigration status should dictate how well you are treated by the government that serves you. I believe every hardworking, tax-paying resident of the country has a right to a safe and healthy work environment. I am here today to announce that my campaign, in coordination with community leaders, Latino organizations, and state legislators, will be supporting the Essential Workforce Protection Act to be brought forth in the next session of the Georgia legislature. The Essential Workforce Protection Act will, among other things, ensure that our essential workforce is provided the appropriate personal protective equipment to keep them safe at work, and 100% testing to keep them, their families, and their communities safe at home. My compatriots will detail some of the other provisions in this proposal shortly. But first, I want to speak directly to the essential workforces here and everywhere. I assure you, you have not been forgotten. You are important to us, and your health and safety are just as important as any other person in Georgia. Buenos días. Mi nombre es Devin Pandy y soy candidato al Congreso para representar el Distrito 9. El español es mi segundo idioma, así que tengan paciencia conmigo. Estamos aquí para garantizar que ya no tenga que trabajar en un entorno inseguro y que usted y sus familias puedan sentirse seguros sabiendo que se toman todas las precauciones en su nombre a medida que trabajan con cuidado para proporcionar a nuestra región y nuestra nación los productos críticos para sosteniendo al pueblo estadounidense. Te aseguro que no ha sido olvidado. Usted es importante para nosotros y su salud y seguridad son tan importantes como cualquier otra persona in Georgia. To speak further about the Essential Workforce Protection Act, it is now my distinct pleasure to introduce community leader and activist Maria Palacios.
Actually, we're going to have to miss Maria today. Unfortunately, she has a medical emergency and has developed some unfortunate things that actually do require some immediate attention. So we're going to move now to Arturo Adame, who is also a community activist.
Arturo. I think it just said something about Maria having an emergency, so we're gonna have you up next.
Devin, you're going to have to go over and stand by him again because the microphone is by you.
Okay, hold on, Arturo. Arturo, hold on.
Hello, my name is Arturo Adame, a community member of Hall County and Gainesville, Georgia. I will release a statement that myself and other community members have written in regards to initiatives that we would like to see the poultry industry of Hall County to deliver to the workers. According to the Georgia Department of Health, nearly 400 poultry workers have tested positive for COVID-19. There are roughly 16,500 people employed by 14 chicken plants across the state. There are many processing plants that operate in Hall County, including Pilgrim's Pride, Fieldale, Wayne Farms, Purdue, Cook Foods, Gold Creek, and others. Hall County currently has the highest rate of infection in North Georgia. In late April, the New York Times cited Gainesville as the 14th fastest growing city for new cases and deaths relative to a population in the country. Along with other members of the community, I have grown increasingly concerned for the safety of the poultry workers as COVID-19 continues to spread in our area. There have been some steps taken by the poultry industry to prevent the spread of COVID-19, such as offering masks, implementing barriers between the workers, and staggering breaks. Those new safety implementations do not do enough to protect the workers from COVID-19 exposure in packed assembly lines that continue to operate in the midst of a global pandemic that has already landed at our doorstep and claimed numerous lives in our country. As well as employee safety, we're also concerned about the workers' employment and financial needs. We have seen that COVID-19 has disproportionately affected impoverished and financially burdened people of color, which is a large demographic of the workers employed by the Georgia poultry industry. We understand the fears of workers have about speaking against their working conditions. They feel they need to remain silent so they can ensure they will have continued employment and receive their paychecks to provide for themselves and their families through their labor. That is why I and members of the community have decided to speak out on behalf of the working class that has received blame for COVID-19 spread, as well as being the main victims of the virus. We have spoken with the president of the Georgia Poultry Federation, Mike Giles, about actions and initiatives to protect workers from exposure, but his responses does not address financial security issues that we, the people of this community, wanted to address publicly. In order to protect this vulnerable population, we have created a list of demands for the employers of poultry workers in Gainesville, Hall County, and the rest of the poultry industry across the state. 1, increase pay rates that begin with a minimum starting base pay rate at $18 an hour. The workers are the driving force of our county's economy, and they deserve to be paid a living wage. This wage will allow workers a higher quality of living and will ensure an important segment of our workforce is fairly compensated for the critical purpose their labor serves our county and the people they feed nationally. 2, hazard pay for all workers until we are no longer in a global pandemic as defined by the CDC. The workers of these poultry plants are deemed essential workers and have been expected to come to work or face termination. It is a well-documented phenomenon that COVID-19 has been spreading in poultry plants across the state and county, with reports of field day workers having especially concentrated confirmed cases of infection. This environment is hazardous to the health of the workers and hazardous to the public at large, as the virus does not discriminate with whom it infects. Our wishes are not to put the workers out of a job or to halt their cash flow. Our wishes are to ensure the workers are treated ethically and fairly and are compensated for the new dangers this pandemic has created. 3, full paid sick leave for all workers who have felt ill during this pandemic, temporary or permanent. Social distancing and self-quarantining are essential tools everyone in our society needs access to. The ease of spread of COVID-19 reinforces how critical it is to be able to subsist in a safe quarantine space for at least 2 weeks, as recommended by the CDC when sick. We are aware some of the poultry plants in Hall County have relaxed their attendance policies if workers feel sick, but it is important that the workers are paid in full during their time off so they don't have to risk working through illness. If a paid sick leave guarantee isn't instituted for all workers, many workers may hide illness due to financial insecurity. 4, free and sponsored COVID-19 testing near the job sites through collaboration with NGHS health facilities and Good News clinics. Some poultry plants have on-site nurses that do temperature checks and send home workers with abnormal temperatures, but these tests are not conclusive to being COVID-19 positive. Due to lack of information, difficulty navigating insurance directives, and fear of walking into unfamiliar situations, we cannot leave it to good faith that the workers who feel sick will go through the hurdles of seeking out a proper COVID-19 testing site. The most responsible action would be to have testing sites near the facilities of the poultry industries and simple signage about access to tests. This is what we feel is fair to the workers of this critically important industry that provides for us economically, as well as providing the important and essential need for feeding people across the nation. The Georgia poultry industry provides 15% of the nation's poultry supply. We feel our list of demands are fair, just, possible, and essential. These are unprecedented times, and solidarity to all working class people is needed to ensure our industries and workforce make it out of this pandemic stronger than how we came in. We believe our demands are well within the realm of possibility. These are the network figures for some of the poultry industries that operate in Hall County. Wayne Farms, 1.5 billion. Purdue Farms, 7.3 billion. Fielddale, 1 billion. Pilgrims, 10.7 billion. Cook Foods, 2.3 billion. Combined network for these companies amount to $22.8 billion. If you consider the financial success of the poultry industry in Georgia, you can rest assured knowing the employers have the ability to enact higher wages, hazard pay, paid sick leave, and access to COVID-19 testing. These initiatives would undoubtedly slow the spread of COVID-19 and improve the health of poultry workers, which would improve the community's overall health. Poultry workers don't exist in a vacuum. In addition to preparing and packaging our food, they shop where we shop, they eat where we eat, and they live among us. Refusing to acknowledge their need for safe employment risks not only the lives of the poultry workers, but the health of our community as a whole. We stand by the workers in solidarity and demand the employers enact these initiatives in a timely manner to protect the health and safety of our most essential and valuable community members, the people supplying the food to this country. We expect a written response from the aforementioned poultry companies outlining what new or improved initiatives will be taken to protect and compensate the workers. We appreciate your time and consideration.
Thank you. And now I'm going to mute that feed. I'm going to send this over to State Representative Brenda Lopez, who is running as a candidate in the 7th Congressional District.
Thank you so much for having me in this important topic. We have seen that COVID-19 has allowed us as state representatives to go full-fledged into constituent services. I have been spending every single day on calls, answering basic questions, including how to vote safely, how to make sure that we don't go bankrupt, how do we pay rent. These are real financial issues that people are facing, real issues related to their health as well. So it is imperative that we continue to push this initiative to ensure that our essential workers are adequately protected. That being said, I do want to emphasize that this pandemic has shown us that, in fact, our essential workers that are the backbone of our economy, not only in Hall County or in Georgia, but throughout our country, have in fact been the stockers that fill our produce in our grocery stores, the medical professionals, the janitors that sanitize, the factory workers, and of course the meat and poultry processing workers that we're here today to specifically address this new hotspot that has grown here in Georgia. That being said, as I mentioned, why are they essential workers? They are essential workers solely because they have to continue working to provide us with our basic necessities of food. But because on a day-to-day basis, with or without a pandemic, they continue to be the strength of America, and they continue to be the workers that build the wealth of America. That's why the very essentialness of their work requires essential basic protections. These are not amenities, these are not luxuries, but instead they are meant to provide them more than just the label of being an essential worker, and it actually focus on providing them necessary protections. We do have to do more than romanticize them in commercials or speeches, or simply give them thank yous for their work during this pandemic. That is why I'm here to support Representative Holly's Essential Workforce Protection Act, because I do believe that, again, the label of an essential worker must come with essential benefits that do include hazard pay, PPE, that is abundantly and freely provided, including testing, and that we have pay raises that are linked to the livable wage standards of areas. These are, again, common sense, and most importantly, they are basic worker rights that match the label for essential workers. These are just the basic tools that our essential workers need in order to better perform and ensure that they continue to be productive, and that we as consumers, as individuals, as residents of the state of Hall County and the state of Georgia, continue to be able to go to the grocery store and pick up a package from the meat and poultry section. If we as consumers want to continue to have that availability in a price setting that is actually reasonable, then again, we must ensure that we promote and protect our essential workers by more than, again, just romanticizing them. So thank you, Representative Holly, for bringing forward this act. And both from Congress, I will continue to work with local and state governments to ensure that we continue to do what's right to reinvigorate our economy and protect our workers, because I do not think either are mutually exclusive, and we cannot continue to make sure that we don't dip into a worse recession without ensuring the safety of the public and the safety of all essential workers that continue to provide us our essential needs.
Thank you, Representative Lopez. I will turn it now over to State Representative El-Madhi Holly from Stockbridge.
Thank you so much for having me on the call. I appreciate the kind words of my fellow representative, Brenda Lopez Romero, who is, I think, one of the bright stars in this new congressional period. I think that certainly we've been able to fight some very good fights in this past legislative session, as well as in 2019. I know for Brenda Lopez Romero, she's been there on the front lines for many years. And I just appreciate the support for this Essential Workers Protection Act. As many of you all know, you've heard a lot of our representatives and also our senators. We always try to promote the vision that Georgia is the #1 state for business. But too oftentimes, because the protections are not yet in place for working class individuals, we've seen more so that Georgia is the state to give workers the business. And unfortunately, we see that if we're not having the funds in place in order to protect families who are having to work every day in essential jobs, from your store clerks in very necessary store capacities to our emergency staff, our hospital personnel, even to our frontline law enforcement. So many of these industries don't yet have the support of Georgia, and we haven't made a better opportunity of our status and certainly our budget to ensure that their protections are in place, especially when we need them. And we see that so clearly during this coronavirus pandemic, when it is not yet safe for us to fully be in an engaged state where people are going back, especially while we have a threat that does not yet have a vaccine. And I think that's very important. So many of us, even like myself, we're afforded the ability to be able to stay at home and sometimes be able to have the choice to go out into the public. Well, we know that so many families throughout this state, they don't have that luxury. They are out there every day, and many times they're doing so without personally protective equipment. And that's necessary, especially in times like this where they are servicing our needs. I think our state can do so much more. And my heart really goes out to the families out there in Hall County, especially those who themselves are new Americans. We know just from the numbers provided to us by the American Immigration Council that in Georgia, roughly $2.9 billion of total net businesses $2.9 billion are generated from businesses that are supported by immigrants. And that's really important because right now, when we're looking at our state that doesn't yet fully have it together, we have roughly about $2.8 billion in our rainy day reserve fund, and that will dry up fairly quickly. We need to find ways to encourage businesses to come to Georgia. But one of the ways that we do that is by making sure that we're providing a business-friendly environment because we're looking out for the workers. And so that's why I hope that in this session or the upcoming session, when I work with individuals from our state level, even on up to our federal level, where I would likely see Devin Pandy and certainly Representative Lopez Romero, I think that we need to make clear that Georgia prioritizes the lives of working individuals, the people and professions many times that we don't see, who are busy in the shadows, making sure that our state is run well, and that people like us all have the means necessary to have a more fulfilling life. The people that we take for granted. And I've seen many commercials, like many of you have, where we see that they're saying thank you on the front line. Hey, thank you. You're doing a great job. No. We realize in America that we prioritize people's lives based upon how we spend money. And so we can just be able to perhaps consider adding a $3 to $5 wage increase of hazard pay, making sure that we have personal protective equipment available for people who are going to be on the front line so that we won't. Making sure that at least we can provide some level of parental paid leave. We've seen that. During this past session, we were able to pass out of the House Bill 1094 that allows up to 120 hours of parental paid leave for state employees. We've seen that for a number of bills that we've been able to push out. But we have to make sure that we're looking out for the families of working class people who are striving every day to make sure that Georgia actually can be the #1 state in the country for business, but not just business, but for people. It's time we value people, and not with a commercial, not with big speeches. No, we need to take the budget and make sure that it's working for those essential workers who pay into this system every single day, just hoping that perhaps the state may look out for them. If we do that, then I hope that we can do as best we can to ensure that we truly empower the people.
Thank you so much. At this time, I would like to open it up for questions. In the event that it is too difficult for Devin to hear you through those Bluetooth headsets he's got over there, then please feel free to put it into the chat, and I will be able to communicate it over that way. If not, there will be a press release accompanying this going out to everyone on the call later on today, as well as if you would like access to the other video materials or this recording of this Zoom meeting, I will have that available for you as well. Okay, in lieu of questions at this time, I will let Devin finish up. I will provide contact information for everyone on this call to both 11 Alive and Telemundo, so that if you have follow-up questions and you'd like to do that specifically in private, you may do that as well. Anything else I can do for you, please do let me know. And Devin, whenever you're ready, if you had any closing statements.
Okay, yes. Yes, thank you. I'm sorry, it's very difficult. It's very difficult to hear out here. What I would like to say is that it is clear that Hall County is quickly becoming one of the nation's hotspots for COVID-19 cases. And there is no doubt our government's response would have been more swift, more decisive, and more impactful if this outbreak existed in a different community of people. Just yesterday, a Chief Justice in Wisconsin said that the outbreak is affecting the meatpacking industry, not regular people. My question is, who are regular people? This should not be about the meatpacking industry or about brown or black or white or yellow or any other color of people. This should be about the American people. I am pleading with Governor Kemp and with President Trump to please recognize the need for these workers to be protected for their sake and ours.